We have a bit of really good news about the Galaxy S25 Slim. We know this phone is going to have basically the same camera as the Galaxy S25 Ultra, and it's going to be slimmer and lighter, but it's actually going to be better than the slim version of the iPhone that will be coming out. Why do we know this? Because Ice Universe is tweeting out that the difference between the Samsung Galaxy Slim and the iPhone Slim models is that Samsung wants to make the camera stronger than the S25, and more similar to the idea of a Vivo 200 Pro Mini, not just thin and light. He doesn't go into much detail, but it sounds like that the iPhone cameras are going to be something similar to like a downgrade versus their higher lineup phones, whereas the S25 Slim would be more familiar with the Ultra version of the phones. And I think what's really interesting and cool about this is that you're going to be able to get a thinner, lighter phone with very similar specs, it sounds like, versus the Ultra. Again, probably without the S Pen support, which for me, I might end up choosing this one. If this one really is spec for spec with the Ultra, I'll probably grab this one, especially the display size and the display quality and all of that. I'll probably choose that one because I want it to be, I don't need it to be thinner and lighter, but I don't need the S Pen at the same time. I literally never use it. So if I can remove that, maybe save a little money too by not having it integrated into the phone and still have the phone be lighter with similar specs or the same specs, I might go to that version. Now, if it's smaller, probably won't go that road. I still like having a big phone. So if it's smaller in pretty much any way, again, I probably won't go to it. But it also makes me think, like, and I've said this in a previous video, like, what is the purpose of the Plus version at this point if we have a Slim version? Because the Plus is very close to an Ultra without the S Pen, and where does the Slim fit into that lineup? Especially if the Slim has a better camera than the Plus and the regular, but has the same as the Ultra. It's like, it just gets so murky and messy and confusing, but it still is interesting, and I love that it's gonna be potentially better than the iPhone Slim as well, and I think that's gonna be a big seller for iPhone, especially when they, market it to the younger folks who probably want a phone like this, like maybe a little bigger screen, but really light and skinny. I think they're gonna really gobble that stuff off regardless if it has as good a camera as their best phones or not. One UI 7 looks ridiculously smooth. There's this video that was released showing off the One UI 7 beta in hand, and the beta hasn't been released for really anybody. This is like an insider, I guess, but it looks so amazingly smooth, and it's so much to look forward to with this. I know at times regular like One UI 6.1.1 or anything in the past has looked smooth like this at times, but then again, as time goes on, or the consistency, you could say, just isn't fully there, and I hope this really brings the consistency up to par with what we see on these early builds, and it just continues to feel and look this way because it's absolutely crazy amazing. Now, speaking of smoothness, why is the Galaxy S25 Ultra rounded around the corners instead of squared off like it has been in the past? Well, there's some information that's been leaked out from Ice Universe detailing why this is. And he's saying one of the benefits of Samsung's rounded corner design instead of the right angle design on the 25 Ultra is animation. When a rounded corner screen displays animation, the R angle will be consistent throughout the whole process, but the right angle screen will not be able to do so from the icon to the right angle. The R angle will inevitably change, which will make the animation more complex and inconsistent, and it is certain that the animation of the 25 Ultra is definitely better than that of the S24 Ultra. So based off the design of it being rounded versus squared off, it's gonna look even smoother than the 24 Ultra, and it should be even more so even if you had the same exact hardware, because again of the rounded corner versus the squared off edge. So it's kind of exciting, kind of interesting why they ended up doing this, and it's all because they want the phone to feel faster and smoother overall, and I'm completely all for it. We have a very interesting story, actually two of them, about the Galaxy Z Fold 7. Both of them are going to make people talk a lot. The first one has to do with the processor inside, the CPU that will be inside of the Galaxy Z Fold 7. And it does not sound like it's going to be a Snapdragon processor. The latest information or leak coming out is that potentially, if this even comes true, that it's going to have an Exynos 2500 3 nanometer in the Galaxy Z series. So the Z Fold 7 and the Galaxy Z Flip 7 would have this Exynos 2500 processor, meaning that you would get a processor potentially not as powerful as a Snapdragon 8 Elite, but that 8 Elite will be in the S25 series, but would skip the Z Fold and Z Flip series, potentially, if this ends up coming to be true, which at that point we're thinking, what is the performance? Is it gonna be equal? Is it gonna be less? Is it gonna be more? I don't think it will be more than the 8 Elite. I think it'll come fairly close, and in day-to-day operation, you might not even really know or feel it in any difference that way, but it's still really interesting. But we're not done with the Galaxy Z Fold 7 stories, because this right here is that the regular Fold, the Z Fold 7 coming out next year, is not expected to have a 200 megapixel camera. Would you still consider buying it? And this makes a lot of sense. I have a story coming out in a couple days that is not going to make people happy either, but this one looking like they're probably, if they're not going to go to that 200 megapixel sensor, are they going to go to 108, or are they going to just stick with 50? Or are they going to go to 64? What are they going to do? If they stick with 50, it's going to be the same camera they've had for a really, really long time on the Fold series, which is interesting. It doesn't take bad photos, don't get me wrong. I've taken some photos lately and I'm like, you know what, looks pretty freaking good, especially after the processing's done with it on the software side. I'm like, looks pretty damn good. But at the same time, you're paying $2,000 for a phone and you want to have the best cameras in there because it's such a premium priced experience. And if you don't get it and we get the same cameras, it's gonna create some backlash, I would assume. It's gonna create a little bit of unhappiness for people that know, people that don't really pay attention to this stuff, which is probably a lot of people, probably won't even notice the difference, or they'll be like, oh, this camera looks great. They won't, but knowing what we know, the people that follow me and the people that follow this kind of thing, you know what's going on here when they're, trying to cut costs and things like that. So hopefully these rumors don't turn out to be true about the Z Fold 7. One UI 7 beta has been delayed again. The latest information coming out about it is that One UI 7's public beta has been delayed. On the flip side, AI notification has made it back to the internal update after a week or so without it. I guess Sammy will publish the public beta when they want to mature the AI features as stable as possible, but there's still more information. Tarun is saying that the One UI 7 beta should start rolling out by mid-December in phase 1 countries, US, Korea, and Germany. Now, what's interesting about this is that when we get to that deadline, or like, okay, it's supposed to be released in the next week or next few days, it ends up obviously being delayed. This has happened a few times, and now that it's being pushed into potentially mid-December or even later, or maybe sooner, but probably mid-December or later, you're really looking at this, I think at this point, I could be wrong, affecting the release date of the S25 phones. It might not. Maybe they're just going to end up releasing this basically with no beta or a really, really short beta period. And then when they release the full version, it'll be really the launch date of the Galaxy S25. But again, we're gonna have to wait a little bit longer, which at this point, now we're at the very end of November. So it's probably gonna be another 15 or so days before we are able to play with One UI 7 beta on our S24 phones. Remember, those will be the first phones that get it. If you wanted to know what the differences between the cameras are on the S25 Ultra versus the S24 Ultra, I've kind of multiple times show you what the cameras will be, but maybe you want to see side-by-side comparison of really what the differences are that we know so far, at least from very strong rumors. Well, here we go. So first of all, with the main camera is, and stop me when you see the differences, exactly the same. I don't see any difference at all with the main camera, still 200 megapixel, and then all the other specs are exactly the same. Next would be the ultra wide. This does have a difference. 25 Ultra will go from 12 megapixel to 50 megapixel, and you are gonna end up getting better quality video with that, obviously, in photos when you take ultra wide, because there's more resolution that can be built into those photos and videos. Next up would be the telephoto. Telephoto, again, stop me when you see any differences, because I still don't see any differences within that telephoto camera. Periscope camera, again, exactly the same, 50 megapixels. And then the front camera, still the same. So really the only difference is that ultra wide, which we've mentioned in the past, but I just wanted to show you a side-by-side comparison in case you were curious if there were any differences. I do think the photos will look different. They have, even though these cameras have been the same with some of their different phones, they look different year over year because of a new algorithm they put into the camera software. The coloring's different. It will look different. And I would expect it to also probably look better than the 24 Ultra as well, even though basically it's the same cameras. And there's an amazing, crazy deal right now with the Galaxy Z Fold 6. No trade-in required, no crazy steps or hoops you have to jump through. If you just want to buy the phone and you don't have a phone you want to trade in for whatever reason, and you just want to get the phone and not pay $2,000, it's literally, at least I can get it right now for like $989. I get a little bit less because I can get like an educational discount or whatever it is. But insane deal. It's literally like $1,000. You don't even need the education deal. After that, it's like literally 1,000 or like 1,040 or something like that. It's nothing crazy. And to be able to get this deal with no trade-in, and if you get a trade-in, obviously it's going to be less than that, but some people don't want to trade in or don't have the ability to trade in a phone for whatever reason. They want to use it as a backup. This is a crazy deal. And I love the Galaxy Z Fold 6, and it's going to get One UI 7 really, really soon, and it's going to get more and more updates and features pushed out to it over the next year and multiple years from now, because it gets 7 years of updates and has S Pen support, has the biggest outside display on a Z Fold ever, which is not that big. And you also have the nice big inside display at 7.6 inches. It's a great phone, takes good pictures, video, stuff like that. Check it out. If you're thinking about getting this, you have nothing to trade in, or even if you do, it's a crazy deal. This is a bit of really good news, at least allegedly, and that has to do with the Samsung Galaxy S25 Slim. Because of the fact that that phone, we didn't know if it was gonna come out here, there, or where, and it looks like it's gonna come out potentially everywhere. Why do we know this? Well, some leaks have been coming out. A few leakers have been talking about this, saying that the Galaxy S25 Slim will launch globally. The phone will be likely teased at the January Unpacked event to unveil the Galaxy, how the Galaxy on Ring was teased. It is expected to launch in Q2 of 2025. Like the lineup, it is expected to be powered exclusively by the Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy. Now, remember, the Slim version, I don't even think we know how big or the display is going to be or anything like that, how light it's going to be. We don't know if it's going to end up being the same price as the Ultra or what. Most likely it's not going to have S Pen support, you can probably say that. And the cameras, maybe it won't have like a periscope camera. Maybe that's not a huge deal in your realm. For me, it's probably not that big a deal either. But those are some things to know about the phone. You also have to remember that with this phone, it's potentially coming out a little bit later than the rest of the lineup. So do you want to wait or don't you want to wait? That also could hinder your prospects of wanting to buy this phone. But other than that, it sounds like a cool phone. If it's going to be, again, I've said this before, it's the same size as an Ultra, but without the S Pen, and it's thinner, it's lighter, and has basically the same specs and everything else about it, might be a phone I want to get. I saw a really nice article over at Sammy Fans. I'll link it down below if you want to read it, all about why you should buy the Galaxy S24 Ultra and not wait for the Galaxy S25 Ultra. I wanted to go through their list of 10 things of why not to update. I'll come out with another video on why you might want to, buy this phone as well, some different reasons. But this is going to be their reason. So first of all, they're talking about the design of the S24 Ultra. It's a little bit different. Some people that have seen the leaks prefer the look of the S24 Ultra over the S25 Ultra, so that might be why you might like off the squared off edges rather than the rounded corners instead. And then you might also like the way the camera housing is versus the way S25 Ultra will do it, the way the S Pen goes in. There's going to be a few reasons why you might like it, but that is definitely one of the reasons you might like it. Do I agree with it? I guess not. I've said in a previous video, once you put a case on it, everything changes. So just keep that in mind. Next would be the display. Again, you're getting a display that has squared off corners, and you might like that look. So it really helps with the design and the overall aesthetics and feel of the phone. Will you not like it on the S25 Ultra? I would be shocked if you hated it. The display in general should be very similar, if not the same, as the S24 Ultra in terms of screen quality, brightness, resolution. They should all be very, very similar, if not relatively the same. So you're not probably going to miss out a lot if you get the S24 Ultra now. Battery, 5,000 milliamps on both. You're not missing out on anything. It's the same, as is the charging. They don't have charging in this list, so I'll throw that in. The charging is going to be 45 watt and 15 watt on both, most likely. So you're not going to miss anything in terms of the battery or the charging speeds on it. They should both be relatively the same. The big difference would come in with the Snapdragon 8 Elite, which is supposed to be really good with battery life. That might be a difference why you might want to skip this phone or trade it in immediately. Because better battery life because of that processor, but the battery size itself will be the same. Cameras, again, basically the same on both phones on here. I think the only difference, if I'm not mistaken, was the ultra wide camera would be 50 megapixels versus 12. And I have to guess, most people that have this phone probably don't ever use the ultra wide angle camera. I love it. I don't use it all the time. I do use it occasionally, but I personally use it for making a video of something for my channel. I don't use it for almost anything else though. That's really the only reason I would use it. And I assume most people don't even know how to change their lenses, let alone know they have an ultra wide camera. So it probably won't be that big a deal. And will there be a difference with the cameras? I do think there will be. I think the S25 Ultra will take better looking photos, but I think it's going to be based off of the algorithm more than anything. But will it be that big of a difference where you're going to be wanting and feeling like you're missing out on the S24 Ultra? It remains to be seen. Performance is definitely going to be better on the S25 Ultra, but let's be honest, the performance on this phone is lightning fast, super smooth. It's a great phone, and there's no reason you probably actually really need all that extra power. Even if you're playing AAA games, this phone still does a great job at it. Can play them on either high or ultra high settings, and you're not really missing out on it. AI, it has AI already. All the AI features that you'd want are on here. You're gonna get the same ones as the S25 Ultra, most likely. I don't think you'll really miss out on anything that phone's gonna get that this phone won't get another month or two later every year that these phones come out and get released. So I wouldn't be concerned too much with that either. With the AI 7-year OS, you're gonna get 7 years. Right now it's 6 because it's already been a year, but you're still gonna get a massive amount of updates with this phone. So you're not gonna miss out on that either, which is great. They both have the S Pen. I don't think you're gonna get any other S Pen features on the 25 Ultra that you won't or don't have already with the 24 Ultra. This phone, they haven't really upgraded or updated the S Pen features or anything like that, and I don't think they will. Now, the biggest reason probably not to upgrade, or to upgrade now to the 24 Ultra and not wait, would be price. You can get an amazing deal with this phone on Samsung. I'll link it down below, and there's really no reason why you might not want to get this at this amazing price. It's super lean price, like crazy price. I think it's like $400 or something crazy, in the $400 range, I should say. I shouldn't say $400, like $400 range. So crazy deals going on with this one, but that's their reasons, and that's what I think about them. How do you feel about it? Should you upgrade now to the 24 Ultra? Wait for the 25 Ultra? Let me know. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. We'll see you down the road. Peace.